here with Dr. Morris Groves, who heads the neuro-oncology practice here at Texas Oncology. Dr. Groves, you were just sharing with the group the importance of your work here at Texas Oncology and what sort of motivates you to keep things moving forward and encouraging patients to pursue clinical trials. Can you share a little bit about the work you're doing here at Texas Oncology?
Well, in order to eliminate these diseases, it won't happen without research. And research involves both activities that take place in the laboratory, in the petri dish, in animals, and ultimately everything has to be tested in people. So the bulk of our work is involved in bringing new treatments to patients, that have these bad problems, and testing those to show and prove that they work, and ultimately making that a new standard. It takes a lot of effort to make that happen, and thankfully we have a lot of patients that are willing and are interested in participating in new treatments here in the area. But as I was mentioning earlier, this is something that there isn't a treatment for every type of tumor. There are about 100 or 150 different kinds of brain tumors, and each one of those probably needs to be treated slightly differently. So there's a lot of work yet to be done. And the more people we can bring into the system, more people we can bring into experimental treatments, the faster we discover what works and what does not work, and the faster we can really ladder up the outcomes for patients to where ultimately the diseases are cured. I do believe that we will cure these diseases. I know that my good partner, Dr. Conrad, knows that as well. He believes that as well. And that's because the science is moving forward. We understand the diseases better than we used to, even this year better than last year, and certainly better than 5 and 10 and 15 years ago. So that is ultimately leading to combinations of ways to approach the problem, whether it's targeting a specific mutation in a tumor, or using a vaccine against an abnormality, or using something else to enhance the patient's own immune system to better attack the problem. All those things are coming together to where I think we start to see the beginning of controllable diseases in the vast majority of patients. And I think that's not too far in the future. So there's a lot of excitement, and it's time to really ramp it up so we can finish that fast.
It is. The progress is so encouraging, and encouraging to patients, many of them whom are here today. Can you just talk maybe specifically about one trial or a trial that you're pursuing? I know we had a number of teams represented here. Hillary's team, for example, and every tumor has its own uniqueness. Is there something, a brainstem glioma, which I know Hillary is suffering from? Is there a particular trial that you're pursuing that targets that particular type of tumor?
Well, it's nice that you should ask that question. I actually made a proposal some months ago at one of our meetings, and that's still in discussion at this point in time. Those are rare tumors. Tumors that start in the brainstem are rare. They're actually fairly common in children, but then we also see them in young adults, men and women in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and they're very difficult to treat. They have a specific collection of abnormalities. A lot of those abnormalities have to do with genes that control the way that DNA folds, and the genes that control the way that DNA is wrapped around other structures called histones. And this has been discovered in children. It's not as well documented in adults, but it's probably there as well. So starting to work with drugs and approaches that attack that problem is probably the way to go, at least in early testing. We, myself, Dr. Conrad, and others have had some luck in a few patients using drugs that go after that abnormality. Those drugs are called histone deacetylase inhibitors, and there are other types of drugs that sort of work in that same genre, that same system. And I think that's probably the way we should approach that problem. And we may find other ways as we dissect those diseases out better to understand, oh, this this genetic abnormality is also part of it, so we can have a new approach. But I think we're on the cusp of having one, but because it's a rare disease, it's challenging to get studies up and running because there aren't thousands and thousands of patients around with that problem.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. One last question. How important is an organization like Head for the Cure to support the community and your research specifically?
It's enormously important. I think from the standpoint of supporting patients and patients' families, I don't really know of anything quite like it. I think I know at the races, it's almost like something that gets the year going. It's something that gives people that level of enthusiasm and inspiration they need to get to through that next year. So it's just massively important for, I think, patient and family engagement and encouragement to struggle with these problems. From a research standpoint, it has been and can continue to be and could be the way that major breakthroughs are carried to niche areas like brainstem glioma or other areas that maybe a pharmaceutical company is interested, but they just need that extra incentive of a group like Head for the Cure, BTTC, to say we can do that in this organization, because there just aren't there aren't groups like BTTC around. How many are there? There's none. This is it. So if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen within BTTC to cure brainstem glioma or cure hemangiopericytoma. I could keep going with these lists of rare tumors that only groups like that can get done.
That's great. Thank you. We'll keep doing it together.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Groves.
Thank you. Glad
Cheers.
you're here.